Australia and New Zealand. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, now, I was just saying, Bradshaw, that's Sex and the City, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I was saying I lived in New York for about 7-8 years. And every time I'd go through customs, I would get, that is the best last name. And I almost rented on Perry Bradshaw Street, which would have been the perfect New York story, but I missed out on it. But I still have that story.
I bet you've got the wardrobe.
Not quite. Maybe for these events. Like bring out my carriage.
I like it. Excellent. Now let me ask a bit about how you got the job and where you sort of like, what brought you into the whole role of working as in tech, as a woman in tech, a leader in tech.
Yeah, well, I actually didn't start in the tech industry. I started in media and creative. So I worked on the agency side of the advertising business, and I did that for many years. But my last agency, which was run by a quite famous entrepreneur called Gary Vaynerchuk over in the US, we were big proponents of the platform very early on. So I really understood the power of TikTok to drive their plan as well as business outcomes for the clients that I was working with on the agency side. So I started to work quite closely with the TikTok team, and I wanted to impact from the inside out eventually. So kind of found my way into the tech through that, through really understanding the product and feeling like it was something I believed in and could actually drive business outcomes. So it was an authentic kind of transition.
And so you hands-on with the product from an agency that is doing perfect things. What are some of the things you're really proud of with that agency?
Yeah, I think what I always loved about working with Gary and Vayner was as an entrepreneur, he ultimately cares about driving business outcomes. It wasn't about awards. It wasn't about big creative campaigns. It was, did the work we do actually drive meaningful impact for that business and their business objectives? And I always found that early on at TikTok we could see that it was driving, and it was a challenger platform. We had to do a lot of convincing back in the day that this platform that a lot of Gen Zs were on and people were dancing had the ability to move their business. So I was proud that we were really authentic to our belief. Even if it went against the grain, it went against what marketers have been doing for the last 20 years on other platforms, more traditional platforms. So I was proud of we were able to transition some of the biggest brands in the world, get them comfortable with the platform, and ultimately scaling and driving really big business impact for them of something that they ultimately took steps on.
Who were the brands, which brands were the ones that were the early adopters that did well, like that had the foresight to see that this is where the eyeballs are?
I think in our early days, we were known as the entertainment platform, and obviously we were founded with the heartland of Gen Z. Gen Z were first movers on the platform, so a lot of brands that were trying to reach that audience, CPG, FMCG, beauty, were very early adopters and very successful because they were so early. But what's been interesting, we're still only 5 years old, but over those 5 years, we were founded during COVID, we were a small business here. We're now over 500 staff in Australia. We're seeing brands and companies, financial services, some of the biggest banks in Australia, we're one of the key channels they operate on now. Our fastest growing segment is over 45. So in a short span of time, we've moved from a Gen Z entertainment platform to a platform that can speak to all your audiences, even over 45s, and drive everything from entertainment, awareness, through to hardcore sales, acquisitions, and being a performance channel for industries and brands that might not seem like a natural fit for us early on.
And how long have you actually been at TikTok now?
I have just hit over a year mark, but we also took in TikTok here. So 1 year is almost 8 years at TikTok, so I'm almost a veteran. We're growing really fast as well, so I always say to newcomers, you're not going to be a newbie for too long. There's going to be new hot, like 7 years is 1 year. Exactly. So I started in a headed partnerships role, which is really helping advertisers understand the power of the platform. And then I moved into the general manager role a few months ago. So it's been a fast start. Thank you. But that's also TikTok's DNA. We really give people opportunities from within. We do have a bias for hiring internally because we are such a unique platform. We have a certain grit and ambition that we want people because we're a challenger brand still, despite our size. We have a motto, always day one. No matter how big we are, act like it's day one of being that startup. We're incubating in the tech space, have that mindset. So it's a certain type of talent that we look for, and then when we see that internally, we want to give those people opportunities. We allow them to step up before they're ready, which is something I really admire about the company. may have 20 years experience in other tech platforms, but do you have the DNA of what TikTok needs to kind of drive business?
So that's interesting because I just had a discussion about legacy media and how so often it's such a big shift, they can't do creative new things. But if you're small, you're not small. But if you have that mindset, you can do new things. And it's really the audience, isn't it? That is coming up with new areas of being able to explore TikTok, all the different topics, if you like. What are the ones that you follow?
So I love following brands because I think it's really interesting to understand the brand's personality on the platform.
Yeah.
So, we've got some folks here, High Smile being one of them, and an Australian brand that's taken on one of the industries that has been dominated by legacy brands, but has really been able to use the platform to show their personality, to listen to their consumers. They do a lot of collaborations, they do a lot of flavors that are incubated and gathered from feedback from the community. So I actually love seeing brands on this platform because you get to see a different side of them. They get to be more playful, they get to be more responsive to their customers. So I think it's fun to see that side of brands. And with luxury brands has been a really interesting journey on the platform. If you think of your Gucci's and your Dior's, who have always shown one side of them, and then with our platform, they're showing a totally different side of the luxury space and changing the way the luxury industry advertises. It's fun, it's playful, it's behind the scenes, which they can't do on any other platform, but the audience and our users love to see those sides.
And tell us what some of the standout luxury brands are doing that are really leaning into the creative side of TikTok and what it can do for the brand.
I think there's two things that come to mind. So a lot of the luxury houses are finding creators in niche communities. So they have very niche interests. One is a luxury brand who's found a creator that's famous for his train spotting videos. And he has a huge following, and not someone you would ever expect a luxury brand to align with. But the content, surprisingly, it feels actually very authentic once they do it, and it taps into a niche audience that then has mass appeal off the back of that. I think another area is sort of episodic content or mini-series. So they create really entertaining content in bite-sized episodes, 30, 60 seconds long, and they do a whole sort of series based on that. And I think that's a really interesting way that they can still maintain creative control, but be more authentic and fit for platforms in that way as well.
And do you play a part in helping sort of encourage them towards a different type of creativity?
Yeah, I think we have internal creative teams as well that consult with a lot of clients or agencies to help them understand the platform. I think one of the misnomers about TikTok is that you have to be very lo-fi and you have to be, act like a creator all the time. I think all creative has a role on the platform. The users just want to make sure that the brand can show that they understand the platform, they understand the community. So a mix of your brand assets, building with creator, engaging with UGC is all ways that brands can show up. So our job as a platform is to take them on that journey, understand their brand DNA, their ethos, and what they're comfortable with, and kind of give them freedom in a framework. This is how you show up on the platform, that you understand the community, but you don't have to throw away your brand guidelines. You don't have to throw away your distinctive brand assets, but how do you do it in a native way? Yesterday we did a big panel with System 1, a global research agency, and one of the things we always get asked is, how does my brand show up consistently? We often hear, that consistent repetition of your brand builds memory structures, but what does that mean when you're creating volumes of content, when you have creators creating content on behalf of your brand? There's a way to do that more naturally on the platform. So are you showing your product and logo in context? Are you using your brand cues and your colors, your sonic brand in the asset? So there's a way to adhere to the marketing principles of the last 50 years, but do it in a really native and modern way that's fit for platform.
So let's talk about what those misconceptions are on TikTok. Start with your own misconceptions before you move to TikTok, and what you've realised, that the opposite of.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, which is true, but also a misconception, is that we are just an entertainment platform and we're just good for brand. Yes, of course we're an entertainment platform. People come here to be entertained, whether that's through creators or brands or publishers. real business outcomes. So a lot of our clients are seeing that they can use us full funnel. They can drive awareness and engagement and entertainment, but they can also drive purchase, they can drive acquisitions, they can drive installs. So kind of using us as a business growth engine, not just to entertain, not just to make people aware. So that would probably be one area. And I think TikTok's effect on other channels as well, which is interesting for us to talk about as a platform because we want to talk about the impact you can have on platform. But when we look at when TikTok and TV are compared, or when I speak to my e-commerce clients and they're seeing the work they're doing on TikTok having an impact on their other commerce platforms or their in-store sales when they weren't even running performance on our platform. So that's been a really interesting insight to speak with our customers and understand how TikTok's having a spillover effect in their rest of their marketing as well.
It's interesting because I'm fascinated by the different crossover between the platforms. I think TikTok's very clever in that it has such really good templates that I'll often do something, a template on Women Love Text TikTok platform, and then it's really easy to then put it up on my Instagram platform.
Right. Yep.
It's so easy that I do it a lot, and I notice other creators do that too.
Yep.
Must have been Instagram. But that cross sort of like platform usage is really fascinating.
Yeah.
And TikTok's technology seems to always be ahead of the game. You know, what's your thoughts on that?
I think all platforms have a role in people's life. They go to each platform for a different reason. But we always talk about people don't come to TikTok to check what their friends and family are doing. They do come to be entertained. They do come to discover new products, and they come to purchase as well. So I think that is our strength, is that yes, we are an entertainment platform. People enjoy spending time with us over movies length of time spent per user in Australia and New Zealand on the platform.
Right.
Yes, so a movie's length of time on TikTok per day is a lot, and that's because we're entertaining. It's not about seeing what your aunt is posting. It's about, where our content recommendation engine feeds you content that you're interested in and really understands and hyper-personalizes that content so people find it an enjoyable experience. It's joyful as a platform as well, so it's fun to spend time there.
We need joy, don't we?
We do.
Now, can you tell us about the people who are wanting to build their TikTok platform? What's the advice? Is it changing? Sorry, it's changing in terms of long form content is now more popular than like it's part of that evolution, isn't it?
Yeah, we often get asked, how long should my content be? And there is not one size fits all answer to that. Is how long does it take to entertain someone? How entertaining is that content to hold their attention? It could be 5 seconds, 15, it could be 2 minutes. If it's entertaining, people will watch it. My first piece of advice is download the app and play with it. Understand the content that's on there, understand how users are interacting with other brands, with creators, just start to understand it. And then just try. It's all about trialing what works for you. There's no one playbook for any brand. It has to feel authentic to you, and you have to continue to try. And that's what makes TikTok unique as well. We're very democratic. We brands, or my local coffee shop, I remember I live in Bondi, and I would walk my daughter to preschool every day. And then all of a sudden, the coffee shop started to have huge queues up the front. I was like, when did this start to get really popular? And then I found out they went viral on TikTok, just showing a day in their life and what they were making. And then they got a whole following on TikTok, and that's the power. 350,000 small businesses on platform are reaching whole new audiences. They've been able to do this with actually no media spend. So it's really democratized the opportunity for small businesses, but also given businesses, some of the largest brands in Australia, an opportunity to speak to new demographics, speak to them in new ways, or show a side of their brand they haven't shown before. So it's really interesting to see the power from everyone from your mum and pop shop or your local coffee store to Australia's biggest bank, both being able to use the platform and see their own success.
I think that's so important to be able to see a boost for a small business and be part of that. Yeah, it's not very exciting. Yeah. Do you help train those small businesses, give them coaching, and is that like how do you engage with small businesses?
Yeah, we have a large small business team that works directly with small businesses to help them understand the platform, get them up and running, give all the support that we do to enterprise brands as well, because that's important for us. We have a thriving community of small businesses, and they're the backbone of our platform. So yeah, definitely, we love to see when a small business is thriving. Every time I meet a small business, my first question is, are you on TikTok? And you fundamentally should be if you're trying to grow your business.
Yeah, that's great. Now, the evolution, how has the evolution of TikTok changed? How do you see it changing again?
I think, we're still a young company, 5 years in the Australian New Zealand market. The evolution is we're growing up as a platform, our users are aging up, and our products are becoming more sophisticated and fulfilling that full funnel journey that we need. So I think talking to customers day in, day out, we have a and what we were talking about before is we still move incredibly fast despite our size. So it's really listening to our customers, our users, and trying to be really agile in how we incorporate their feedback and what they need from us as a platform. And that's why I love working here. We can directly hear from our users or our customers and embed that feedback in our product roadmap. And that's a very iterative cycle. So I think that's how we're evolving, is more understanding of how users, brands use our platform, need our platform to operate, and then building that into our roadmaps as well.
And you, having worked in London and New York and now Sydney, how does our digital landscape vary to what you're doing?
I think, Australian brands, there's more appetite for risk here as well. Yes. And there's more appetite to be innovative because our budgets aren't as big as the brands I work with in North America. You could pay to play there. Same when you think about through Europe, where Australian brands need to be more scrappy. They need to find hacks in the system to fuel their growth. I find there's more appetite for risk and there's more innovation happening from Australian brands, and even global brands. We know that they want to test out in New Zealand or just in Australia.
Do you care to name a couple of the brands there?
One of the brands I love partnering with is Zuru, and a lot of people I mentioned it and haven't heard from about Zuru. They're a Kiwi brand. They started as a toys business, and they now cross a number of different verticals from beauty and lifestyle, nappies. They've been able to take on very incumbent legacy brands and verticals through just sheer innovation and willpower and grit, and now they're a global billion-dollar business incubated out of Auckland. They're one of our most successful progressive brands on platform, so that makes me proud as an Aussie who's married to a Kiwi, that our brands can really dominate on the global stage off the back of innovation, off the back of taking risks and having that appetite to try new things.
Thank you so much. Thank you.